So Africa Physical Geography, this is for Chapter 1 and Lesson 1. And there are four main regions in Africa. We got North, West, East, and then they combine Central and Southern Africa. The four major regions, basically they have unique and different characteristics, some shared parts, but they are different as well. So we got the North. In the northern part, what ends up happening is that there's some mountains and lots of the Sahara Desert all the way through here. They can really settle up on the plains, but not in the Sahara. Now in the west, the northern part is desert, up here again. And then there's the Sahel, which is the shore between the desert and the grasslands. And then there's grasslands, and finally you get rainforest down here. Now in the east, there's mountainous region plateaus up primarily in places like Ethiopia. And then there are some mountains like Mount Kilimanjaro up by Kenya and Tanzania in this area here. But there's also grasslands, and this where the Serengeti Plain is, and that's what a lot of people think of when they think of something like the Lion King or something like that. Central and South Africa have grassland, rainforest, and desert. So rainforest primarily up here, a grassland kind of in between, and then there's desert in this area here. But again, to the south, the climate is the same. We'll get to climate and vegetation next time. It's a plateau continent. Not a lot of this blue area here because that's the coastal plain. It's primarily elevates pretty quickly. So this orange area here, and the tallest part is up in Ethiopia. Great Rift Valley. This is a part that's being pulled apart of Africa, and if you look here, it's being divided bit by bit, and over time it's eventually going to fall off. A big hunk is going to pull off. Now the Nile River is one of the most famous rivers in the world, and it's the longest river in the world, and there are two main parts of it. Right here is where they split. It goes all the way up here. Kind of some students find it unusual that it's going north, because they think of our rivers like the Mississippi that go south, but it's just following the direction of elevation down. So right here at Khartoum, it splits into the White Nile, which heads down through Sudan, and then the Blue Nile, which is here. And most of the floodwater comes to the Blue Nile because it rains at a certain point during the year, and that's why they always had these consistent floods. The Nile from space, if you notice here, there's the green area here, and then all the way down here. This is an area of low elevation that since really ancient times they've been able to use as farmland because they've been able to irrigate pretty easily there. The Congo River drains a large portion of the rainforest in Central Africa. There's lots of tributaries. It's kind of similar in some ways to the Amazon. Except for you don't have piranhas. You have fish like this there, which are kind of freakier on some level. But this is fishing on the Congo, how they go ahead and set up these nets and catch areas to go and fish. Yeah, that fish is really kind of disturbing. I hope that guy knows what he's doing. Now the Niger River, it flows downhill just like all rivers do, but it starts right here in Sierra Leone, and if it were just to take a shortcut right to the ocean, would go this way, but it can't because it's going downhill. Bit by bit by bit, it goes down, and it flows incredibly slowly, like just a couple of inches over miles downhill, so it really goes slowly. And so there's this inland delta area which it floods, and that's an area where there's a lot of farming. The Zambezi River is in this area here of Africa, and that's a fast-flowing river, so they can use it for electricity. And so those are a couple of dams here, 3 dams here. And if you look here, Victoria Falls is one of the most impressive natural sights in the world, sort of like the African version of Niagara Falls, except for it's a lot wider and well, harder to get to for unless you're in South Africa. But it is very, very impressive. One of the parts that's a little bit interesting is this Devil's Pool, where you can go ahead and climb in, and right down here is part of Victoria Falls. Have to be kind of careful, and hopefully this guy has a guide with him. Otherwise, he's kind of foolish, or he's done it a lot, because you can't actually fall over. But there's kind of a pool area, and then there's probably some sort of stone that's still up here that is letting the water go slowly over bit by bit. But there's not much of a current. So now we're done, and we are all set.